For 1984, Suzuki gave Barry an updated bike, but that was the season Honda first showed that they would be a major force for the remainder of the decade. Nevertheless, the season started superbly for Sheene in the rain-lashed South African Grand Prix at Kyalami. Indeed, that race was an historic occasion, as it was the first time that Eddie Lawson won a 500cc Grand Prix and the last time Sheene stood on the podium for a Grand Prix. In fact, Barry finished third, 13 seconds behind Eddie and just inches behind Frenchman Raymond Roche. After that excellent result, Sheene was to witness Lawson winning the next two races. Barry picked up fifth spot at Paul Ricard, but now Spencer was starting a run of wins for Honda. Barry might be finishing lower down the order than he would have liked, but he was usually the best Brit. Certainly, his legions of home fans hadn't deserted him, and they were cheered by fifth place at the British Grand Prix. But Suzuki had, albeit temporarily, lost their appetite for racing. Barry's Grand Prix season finished with 14th position in the championship. There was talk of Yamaha recruiting him for 1985, but the last race of Barry's incredible career was on a Suzuki at Donington, when, virtually every inch of the way, he battled against another living legend, Ron Haslam on a Honda. Typically, it was a cut-and-thrust contest that had the crowd spellbound. Ron took the lead at the start, but then it was first one and then another in front, as the British heroes fought for supremacy right down to the checkered flag. But now, other things were to take centre stage in Barry's life, like not getting married.
I'll tell the truth now. This is the first time I've ever told the truth about this. We were due to get married in '76, and everything was planned. We were living in Putney, and 3 days before we were due to get married, I was laying in bed that night, and I thought, I can't get married. I'm scared to death of getting married. I really can't. And I said to Steph, look, Steph, I can't get married. I can't do it. I love you, I adore you. Best thing since sliced bread. I don't want to get married. The thought of it frightens the life out of me. Obviously for Steph it was really upsetting, you know. She thought, oh Christ, what's going to happen now? You know, I've split up with my husband, got a divorce, and now he doesn't want to marry me, you know, and why wouldn't I want to marry her? You know, what's the obvious thing that comes to mind? He doesn't want to be with me. And that wasn't the truth, you know. I just was scared to death of getting married. So it was a bit of an uneasy period for the next couple of months. I couldn't get married, Barry Sheene couldn't get married because he had to go testing. That was a lie, total lie. And this is the first time I've ever said this. And Steph took it really fantastically well. There was no two ways about that. And so after a couple of years, it was all forgotten. And we agreed to get married when we wanted children. So when it came round to getting, at the end of, oh, bloody freezing, I am. At the end of '83, we were talking, and I always intended to give up racing at the end of '85. So I said, well, you know, what we should do, we could get married now and start to try and have children. That'd be really nice. So, okay, you know, we were doing this, doing that. So we organised to get married in February 16th, 1984. And then we started, Steph had gone off the pill so 3 months beforehand or something. And we thought, right, we'd start trying for kids now, you know. And the very first time we did it without protection, she fell pregnant. And Sydney was born 9 months and 3 days after we got married.
At the end of the season, Barry decided to hang up his motorcycle racing helmet, although one paper announced the decision before it was actually made. Barry wasn't at all pleased. The official announcement was big news, but racing circuits hadn't seen the back of Sheene. He toyed with Formula One, testing with Brabham and Arrows, but landed a drive in the British Touring Car Championship.
In 1985, I drove for Toyota, and I put my heart and soul into that. And the car got written off. I was okay at it, you know, I had pole position and was up the front to begin with. Then the car got written off. I got hit from the back and then T-boned at about 130 mile an hour. And the next car they built just wouldn't go within sort of 2.5 seconds a lap of the original car that was set up by a guy called Win Percy. So after that, I lost interest, if you like. And at the end of the year, I decided to forget saloon car racing. The truck racing thing, the reason I did that was because I had an advertising deal with Leyland DAF, or DAF as it was then, and they wanted to get involved in it, so I did it. But it was never ever serious. I burned my competitive sort of thing out as far as sport was concerned with the bike thing. I could never take anything really seriously after that.
Despite what Barry says, he certainly impressed in the Toyota, and as ever, was in the thick of the action. And without question, Barry was one of the stars who made truck Super Prix racing so successful. He was tremendously competitive and won truck races both in Britain and Australia, driving his last ever race down under in 1988. And of course, there are heartfelt tributes from friends and rivals.
Was a hero of England, and I think everybody, we can say thank you to Barry Sheene.
I'd like to thank him very much for the assistance he gave me in the early years, and not just teaching me about motorcycle racing, teaching me probably about life. And he was a great name in the sport, and I think will continue to be until someone comes along, and I don't see that someone round the corner.
Barry's his own man, and I think what success he's had, it's been up to him and his own ability to achieve it.
I look back on it as 14 or 15 years, happiest years of my life, because he was a very attractive person to work with and for, so it was a great experience for me, which I wouldn't have missed on any account.
There hasn't been an international personality like him since, that's for certain.
Certainly from the UK point of view, he's put an awful lot into motorcycling. And I think he still does. You know, Barry had and still has charisma. And you can count on one hand the people over the last 20, 30 years that have had that. But it's a very special quality. And it's a quality that you've either got it or you haven't got it. And Barry's got it.
For me, he's one of the best in a story, for me.
But after so long at the top, Barry does have some regrets.
No, there's so many years of racing that that you lose, you know, good friends and that you sit down and think, Christ, you know, how many people, John Newbold, Tom Heron, you know, so many people that you were really friendly with and that. Because it was dangerous and anything could happen, you could get killed or whatever, it made me very intolerant with things I didn't want to do. I thought, bugger it, you know, no, I'm not doing that. That's all there is to it. I am not doing it. I believe in God. I always have done. I'm not fanatically religious. I'm not really very religious at all. It's something that I'm very happy with. Well, I'm very happy with him. I think he's done a very good job in looking after me.
He's got a very good machine here. He's chasing back. And Barry Sheene had a terrible moment there, right in the back wheel. Obviously that Sheene's tyre has gone already.
Barry Sheene has run his last race. Now in Australia, he's a big personality. And those racing injuries still fascinate everyone.
Perhaps nobody understands the vital importance of the safety aspects more than our own Barry Sheene. In a career spanning 16 years, our Barry has had some monumental crashes.
I don't think it worried us, really. You know, when things are going well, you don't think about anything going wrong. But then when something goes wrong, you stop and you think. But that never really occurred to me because I knew he was a level-headed boy and I knew he didn't do silly things on the racetrack.
That's the story of Barry Sheene so far, the London messenger boy who became a star not just because he could ride a bike better than virtually anyone in the world, but because he had that rare star quality. Few who know him believe the book on Barry Sheene's life is closed. He may be living in the lap of luxury in that mansion in Surfers Paradise, Queensland, but the man who can charm princes and paupers alike will surely find new mountains to climb. Australia is a land of entrepreneurs, well suited to Barry Sheene's brand of quick thinking and decisive style of business. He's held the attention of racing fans around the globe and currently holds the attention of TV viewers across Australia. Someday soon, it could be the boardrooms of the Southern Hemisphere who will be all ears. But that will be another story.